Evening, Gasheads. Welcome back to another episode of the Talking Gas podcast. Hope everyone is doing well on this Sunday evening. Hope you've all had a good day. Somewhat got most of the stuff yesterday out of your system. Obviously, we're going to be, going over yesterday's game, picking out, our thoughts on all the different stages of yesterday. We're going to be joined by an Exeter podcaster who does the Park Life podcast for the official Exeter website and YouTube channel. He'll be joining us later on, to talk a bit more in depth about them this season, their manager, obviously players they lost in the summer. We'll also get a bit of insight on, Jevani Brown, his best position, how can we improve him, and also get his thoughts on Matt Taylor as well. But yeah, if you're watching this live or on the replay, then do hit the like button. If we can get 50 likes, as always, do smash the hell out of the like button. It really does help the algorithm and helps the channel get to more faces as well. And yeah, subscribe if you're new. Keep up the quality support. Already on episode 20, which is crazy. So yeah, keep up the quality support as always. And thanks for the support on the reaction video after the game yesterday as well. And also, as always, we've got the Fan Hub code. If you want to use the golden ticket code, then it'll be scrolling down at the bottom, as well as the Talking Gas podcast socials on Instagram and Twitter. So go and give those a follow if you haven't already. But yeah, as always, we're joined by Neil. How are you doing, Neil, on this Sunday evening?
I'm all right, lad. You?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad, to be honest. But yeah, as always, get your thoughts in the comments. Any questions, please get them in. We always answer the questions and get everyone's thoughts in the comments. But yeah, Neil, what do you first of all, I want to get your thoughts on when you seen the lineup, because I got to the game fairly later than I do. I got to the ground at about 25-3 yesterday. And I seen someone that I know, they come over to me and said, "Oh, have you seen the lineup?" And I was like, "No." And he was like, "Well, we've got one striker, and we've got about 5 or 6 defenders." And then I looked at it and I was a bit, I was a bit wondering, oh, well, this is a bit mad. Luca Hall, going in there at centre-back with Conley on the bench. Obviously, we knew there was going to be a few changes with so many games coming up thick and fast. Of course, Exeter on Tuesday. What did you make of the lineup? First of all, were you surprised to see Luca back in and other certain players in the way it was? Because I think it was like a 3-4-2-1 with Thomas and Maka in the 10, Martin up top, and then Grant, Evans in midfield. What did you make of the lineup first of all? When you seen it, were you surprised to see Conley on the bench?
I wasn't shocked. I wasn't shocked to see it. I didn't go into it expecting to see anything, to be honest. You play what's available to you at the minute. We are that scratched at the minute. You play available what's to you, and we don't know the background of what goes on in the week, what knocks niggles, and what the format is for what Taylor looks at week by week, who he's earmarking to play where. But I don't mind the system. The 14-3, the system doesn't bother. We've got the personnel to do that. I don't mind that one bit. The Thomas thing in off the centre forward, I raised eyebrows to, because to me he's not a goal threat. If you look at Luke Thomas, like, don't get me wrong, compared to the League Two season, he is far and away a better footballer. He's better in every aspect of what he did in League Two, but the bar was that low. He was never going to be anything else but that. But I mean, Portsmouth opening day kicked off great, looked a real threat, and he still does. But you earn your crust on your end product, and Luke Thomas is not a goal threat for me. I don't think any opposition will sit down in the week and do their team meetings and look at Luke Thomas and go, "He's a problem for us in front of goal," because he just isn't. So I was shocked to see that, to be honest. I never thought I'd see him playing there, to be honest. And to be honest, he had a golden opportunity and he spewed it, didn't he? So he should be weighing in with a far better goal contribution than what he does, regardless of him playing as a winger, a wing back, off the centre forward, wide of a front three, wherever he plays. I just think he fails to deliver in that aspect of his game. And saying, "Oh, he fails to deliver in that aspect of his game" isn't a throwaway comment. That's huge for a wide man. Absolutely huge. So that was my main concern. I just thought that you've got a footballer there who isn't a goal threat.
But saying that, it's the same with everyone apart from Chris Martin though. At the moment, like you look at Collins, we talked about when the last time he scored. Jevani Brown against Barnsley. Marquis is probably the second, but then like we talked about him, even though obviously he didn't start, there's times where he misses big chances, but it's this literally the same apart from Chris Martin though. At the moment, like Taylor said it in the interview, it doesn't matter who you seem to play there at the moment. He tried, we said Jevani Brown against Barnsley. He tried Collins there. Obviously, the last games Collins he started the Norwich game, but not the last two league games. But what was your thoughts on the whole game, especially that 25-minute period where we looked awful? What did you make of that?
I wasn't shocked, mate. I saw it coming a mile off. Said in the week, that's the sort of performance you'll get from us at some point. Whether it be, I just had a feeling it'll be Saturday. I said in the week, like you expect mentally tired, like a mentally exhausted and leggy performance, and they got after us because I think they saw it coming too. They got right after us, Blackpool, because they saw it coming too. And if you look at them lads, the game was over, and they were they're mentally shot to pieces. You look at players like spoke about Grant Ward in the week. He was lost all game, absolutely lost. He was miles off it, and you look at the minutes.
But he didn't play though. I mean, you mean Josh Grant?
Josh Grant. Sorry, he's miles off it. Sorry, he was miles off. He couldn't get close to anyone. And you look at like the output some of these lads play. Evans played really well. I'll give him that. Evans played very well, but it's put in shift after shift. Luke Thomas shift after shift, and I don't blame the players, to be honest. They're just recovering and going again. Like, and then when you start to interchange a little bit, which every squad has to, the drop off isn't good enough at the minute. You know what I mean? It's just our squad isn't built to do that. And I saw it coming, and Critchley would have seen it coming. He'd have got his side to go get straight after these from the first kick. High energy, high tempo, get after him, second ball, squeeze them, get them hot, get them deep in their own half, and put a squeeze on them. And that's what happened. First goal, round the corner, round the corner from Connor Taylor. The recovery wasn't good enough. The Hamilton finish is exquisite, to be honest. It was an excellent finish, top finish. But we're 1-0 down. We're 1-0 down in the blink of an eye already, And then we don't recover. We still look out on our feet. We can't really get any momentum of any sort. We can't string anything together. And we go 2 down. I wasn't shocked. It's disappointing, of course it is. Wasn't shocked though. And then we sort of managed to muster a bit of a spell, and we get a goal. It's an hell of a finish, isn't it? But it wasn't like we deserved it. We snuck ourselves back into a game, and then we sort of huffed and puffed about creating anything, no real clear-cut opportunities. And I think Blackpool walk away from that game going, do you know what? We should have won the game. We did win the game. We could have probably made it easier if we exerted ourselves a bit more, but they expended minimal energy and took 3 points on the road. That's a good away performance for me.
Yeah, I completely agree. What was your thoughts on the second half? I mean, to be honest, there isn't really much to talk about apart from because we didn't really, like I said on my video after, I thought second half was there was just nothing really. I think Blackpool did what they needed to do. They time wasted. They, for all the crosses we put in, none of them really had any quality. We didn't really have any chances apart from like I said, what should have been a penalty on Collins. What did you make of that? The penalty shout and thoughts on the referee yesterday. Obviously, like I said in my video, I'm not blaming the ref. I just wanted to get your thoughts on him yesterday and the penalty shout as well.
I'm never shocked by an appalling League One referee, to be honest. I'm never shocked by it. Like they come along from like near enough every other week. Like that lad was, I don't know, he was bullied at school or something. He was terrible. He was awful. I don't really give referees a lot of stick because I just think they're all shit. Do you know what I mean? None of them are any good at this level. Do you know what I mean? But a lot of it ain't their fault. Do you know what I mean? You're asking, amateur lads to do a professional job. It's tough for them, but ultimately the skill set's not good enough. It ain't good enough. I'm in two minds to know whether that was a penalty or not, to be honest. I think it might have just been outside. Is it a foul? 100%. 100% a foul.
Yeah.
It's definitely a foul. But whether it's inside or outside, I looked at it immediately and thought it's not in. No, tell a lie. I looked at it immediately and thought that was inside. But when I look it back, I think we'd have done well to get a penalty. A foul, no, it's definitely a foul, but I don't know if it's a penalty. And if we'd have taken a point from that game, we'd have been lying to ourselves anyway. Do you know what I mean? We wouldn't have deserved a point out of that. But I'd have taken 100%. But I don't think it gets us any closer to where we want to be if we'd have got a point regardless.
Yeah, I completely agree. Neil got the score prediction right. Yeah, 2-1. And yeah, refs get most 50-50. Yeah, I thought. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I did think he was bad, but like I said, I thought I just didn't. I could see sort of like a almost leggy performance, but even then there was quite not loads of changes, but there was a few changes. It almost reminded me of the Cheltenham game we had under Taylor's first league game in charge. That game almost reminded me of that. Everyone, I don't know what it was. Was it nerves or, I think it was Alistair Durden asking Taylor about, leadership. Obviously, you've talked about that leadership, and why do you think we were so bad? I know there was a lot of players physically and mentally would have been drained, but it was the same for Blackpool. Why do you think we were so poor in that spell? Is there any? I don't know.
It wouldn't be nerves. It's nothing. It's nothing to do with nerves. You talk about fine margin in football. It's a throwaway comment in football. We talk about fine margins, but you look at what Critchley did with that FA Cup game in extra time. The way he managed his squad, he interchanged his players. He took key players off at key times to give them maximum recovery that he could. Mm-hmm. We don't have the luxury to do that. We do not have the luxury to do that, and we've gone through a spell of playing a lot of big games with a lot of big players that we cannot afford, due to our injuries and due to the way the squad's been built, and what we've noticed in the drop off of quality if we do interchange, to be able to and where we are in the table, to need to pick up these points, to have to keep going again with near enough the same 11 here and there, right through till sort of 70, 80 minutes, if not 90 minutes. Blackpool and Critchley don't do that. If you look at how they addressed that week, the way they dragged key players in the spine of the pitch and their key men out wide, like, we talk about, the Hamiltons and the Rhodes and, Norburn, who makes things tick. The minute he can see a game out and he knows that this game is safe, they're dragged. They're put on ice and they're ready to go again, whether it be an hour, 70 minutes, 80 minutes. It's earmarked really well so that he could have come to Rovers. And like I said, you look at that away performance, minimal energy exerted, there was minimal output to get 3 points, win a game on the road, and they'll be away and recovered again. Just manages their squad well because he's got a squad to do it. What happened on Saturday is nobody's fault. It's nobody's fault. It's just the way it goes. That squad's been put together. We failed miserably in a target for a centre forward that's cost us massively. We've noticed that when we do go to sort of like our category B sort of players, the fringe players, the drop-off's quite significant. It's not for Blackpool when they do like the 2 or 3 changes. It is for us. So we have to rely on players quite heavily for a long period of time in games, week after week, and gradually the performance will drop, bit by bit by bit, and that's where your points will drop, and that's just how it goes. It's not Taylor's fault. He's come in, it's just how it's gone. It's unfortunate, but squads get built in the summer. You think that is exactly what we need, or near enough what we need to get to a certain point in January. But we were miles off it before we even got to January. I mean, we talk about John O'Deal every week. It's massively, but there's certain elements of that squad as well that aren't up to scratch as far as the volume we put in place and the quality that goes with it. Blackpool haven't got that issue.
Yeah, because that's the thing. We talked about it leading into the game that, they took, like you said, they took players off. Hamilton came off, Jordan Rhodes came off with like 20 minutes, half an hour to go. Dembele didn't even start for them midweek against Forest, so he was there fresh. But it was just so, it was just disappointing to see, and just the fact that how poor we was in terms of, what for me, I just thought there were so many players, and I know, you know, you had Josh Grant in there doing a job, like you said. Really, he shouldn't have even, from having played pretty much most of the game on Wednesday night against Norwich, for him to play 70 minutes, 75 minutes, and that's a problem with, because obviously the fact that we've sent or they've got recalled Woods and Bogard, and they're not obviously getting a midfielder in. It's left us like right in the mire, especially now with the Ward injury. But it's just disappointing the way we conceded the goals, that everyone was out of position. Especially if you look at the first goal, everyone was out of position. The way that 5 or 6 of our players were in the box, and Hamilton, like you said, unbelievable shot. He could
top finish. It was a top finish,
but no one was there, and there was 5 or 6 players in the box, and he was somehow coming in.
But that's what happens when you're mentally exhausted. That's what'll happen. It's a bigger version of ball watching. You just coast through game. Like you just have brain fog when you're that exhausted and you're playing up against players that are far fresher than you, and their speed of thought's a second or two quicker than you. You'll look miles off it, and that's what will happen. I expect if you give that side, you know, both sides a full 2 weeks rest and they go and play against each other, it'll be a lot more even contest. But what happened on Saturday is just, that's what happens with exhaustion. You get pulled all over the place, and your quickness, your sharpness of thoughts all over the place, and you get pulled apart.
Yeah, completely agree. Evening to Gordo. Yeah, evening to everyone in. Currently over 40 people watching live. Keep hitting the like button if you haven't already, and subscribe to the channel. We're going to be shortly joined by Tom from the Park Life podcast as well. Andrew Alexander, even if you need someone like Jake Young, the striker. We have talented players, but they look like individuals yesterday, not a team. Hunt looked a bit rusty. He will do. He hasn't, before that, obviously I know he come off the bench against Barnsley and against Norwich, but before that he's been out for a while. It's frustrating with him because he hasn't had a lot of injury issues in the past, but it's the same as Wilson. Wilson comes to us. Obviously, we know he's 35, but he played pretty much every minute of the League One title season with Plymouth last year. He comes to us, and then he gets these injuries and these knocks. I mean, the good thing is, and pretty mad thing is, that we all thought that Wilson was going to be out for 3-4 months, but he could be back by Oxford, could be back on the bench, which is good. But obviously, don't rush him back. But at the moment, we do need that because Hall, I'm still not sure why. Maybe he was trying him out, Hall. I'm not sure because he's never been a centre back. Barton tried last season, but that was with injuries as well. Barton played him against Derby and Barnsley and centre back, and it didn't work at all. But then I'm not sure. Connolly. There was an interview before the Norwich game where Connolly had just been recalled, and there was a slight hamstring. So maybe it's because of that. Maybe playing the Barnsley game, he had a few issues, so that's why. And then Jevani Brown, started against Barnsley, done well, apart from obviously finished the chances he had. But it's going to be interesting. We'll get Tom's thoughts on how Exeter got the best out of him. We've tried him in so many different positions, but the last few games, he didn't even come on against Norwich, and he only had 5-10 minutes against Blackpool yesterday. So Tom Callahan saying astute analysis, Neil. The key issue for me is the squad is so unbalanced that unless are 100% healthy, we aren't competing. Need more quality across the board. Yusuf saying hopefully a couple of signings tomorrow in time for Exeter. I hope so, but I don't know. We'll have to see. Taylor said he did want 2 centre midfielders, which is a must because obviously the 2 other ones have gone back. Steve Fuller saying need to go back to back 4 as we let a lot of ease. I don't think it's anything to do with the formation because we've been conceding less chances and teams have been having less opportunities against us with this back 3. I just think yesterday was obviously we've 4 losses in a row. if you include the Norwich game, 3 in the league. But I don't think any of them can be, we know what the issues are. It's not the formation, it's both boxes, basically, like we've talked about the whole season. Wilson makes me appreciate him a lot more. He needs to come back. What was your thoughts before we bring in Tom? What did you make of some people's thoughts on, and I know it's obviously opinions are there for everyone, but talking about Taylor and saying him getting it wrong, and people having a go at him. What do you make on that point?
I don't understand the logic behind it, to be honest. Someone would have to explain it. It's a throwaway comment, isn't it, that? But someone would have to explain it in greater detail to me by what they mean by it, to be honest, because I can't comprehend where they're coming from, to be honest. So, like, my take on it is nothing until someone explains it in greater detail to me. So I just read it and just think, in my initial comment is nonsense. So someone would have to explain it in greater detail to me about what they're talking about, because it don't make no sense to me. Unless you want to pay up someone on a 3-year deal immediately, then you're thick as shit as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it was a bit mad seeing a few. Woody saying, pure and simply, we don't have squad depth for key positions. 100%. Thielem said it's tough for Taylor because they're Barton signings. Yeah, that's the thing. We need him to. I actually seen the owner though. I was going to ask him. I'd seen him yesterday after the game. I'd done my reaction as I do always, go into the Uplands after the game, come back down, went into the car park, seen someone that I knew, and I seen the owner and a few of them, walking back to the car. I was going to ask him a question, but I didn't get the chance. Thomas said it on X, we need to improve the spine of our squad. Goalkeeper, solid centre back, solid ball winner in midfield that can do the boring work. Yeah, I mean, obviously there was been a lot of talk about this Grimsby midfielder, whether we get it done. We talked about on the last episode, whether we get it done this window, I'm not sure. I'd rather just get someone a tiny bit more experience in on loan. And I know it's obviously hard because it is January, but I'd rather, if we're going to spend money on a young player, I'd rather wait until next, the summer and get him in then with a full preseason. I don't want him chucking it into a team that's like sort of going nowhere really at the moment with our performances and relying on players that were when they're injured and stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much everything on that. One more quick question. Alan Nixon, who's quite a reliable journalist, I seen earlier on has been talking about Rovers, and I know it's journalism and stuff like that, and whatever. But I seen that apparently Rovers are interested in Jack Marriott from Fleetwood. What's your thoughts on that? Obviously, journalists, we know what they can. All depends. But yeah, thoughts on that. And he also said that we're still interested in JCH. But yeah, Jack Marriott, what do you make of that? Because Fleetwood are trying to offload him because he's on quite a high wage for Fleetwood. Fleetwood need to get some more players in. I think they're already looked down already, but they need to get players in, offloaded to players to get players in. What do you make of that? I think he's 29. He had that one really good season at Peterborough, like, 5 years ago now, in his mid-20s, where I think he scored 30.
Got moved to Derby, didn't
he? Yeah, and then went to Derby after that, but hasn't really hit the heights since. What do you make of that? That we're interested in him, one of a few clubs.
It depends what the deal is, doesn't it? Really, if they're saying, Rovers are going to sign him for such a fee on a 4-year deal, I'd be a bit concerned, to be honest. But it all depends on what the deal is. If it's a view until the end of the season with a potential contract at the end of that, I wouldn't be against it. Do we need a centre forward? I know it's horrible to say because we're only in January, but this season is just about muddling through now. We just got to get to the summer. I guarantee you, Taylor's sat in his office at the end of that game, just going, I just need the summer now. Just get me to. He'd wish pre-season started tomorrow, because this is just everything that goes on from probably the next get the next sort of 4 games out of the way. It's now anyway, really, but really get the next sort of month out of the way. You just got to start looking towards the summer, because we're going nowhere. We're in no man's land now as a league position, and is a force to challenge for anything, regardless of what we do in January. So one eye, I would have thought, would be firmly on the summer and next season and what he wants to build now. He wants to plan it out. So anything he does from here on it, as far as short-term recruitment or loans or players of a certain age that haven't performed for a while, like the Jack Marritts who put in a great season at some point and then dropped off a level. I wouldn't be keen on paying a fee and then seeing him on a 3-year deal, because what's he done in God knows how many years? You know what I mean? And that'd concern me. It all depends on what the deal is, but I look at this season, it's just about getting volume in, getting to look at what he wants for the summer. I expect anyone who's out of contract will probably be sent on their way, and seeing what he can do as far as what he's got that's in contract to make plans for next season. I can't see anything other than the season, just him treating it as you're all on trial now for the summer.
Yeah, completely agree. Yeah, appreciate everyone's comments. Keep liking the video. We're going to be now joined by Tom Piccolo, who is the host of the official Exeter podcast. How are you doing, Tom? And thanks for joining us as well.
Yeah, really good. Really well, thank you, guys. Been listening to the show for the last sort of half an hour. Been really enjoying it. I must say that the Rovers negativity is it's good for us, I suppose, going into the game. But yeah, plenty to talk through, and I'm looking forward to the game on Tuesday.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting, because before we went live, I actually looked at, I've always been keeping an eye on the table, but from seeing Exeter's form, I thought there was a more points difference than there actually was. 7 points is actually the difference from us to you, and considering how, because you started off the season really well. I think you were top of the league. You were in the top 4 for for about 7 or 8 games, I think, and then all of a sudden, due to different circumstances, you've been on a poor run. I think you sit 4 points above the relegation zone. And to be honest with you, in the summer, I thought you, especially when you lost a lot of your key players from last season, when Archie Collins, Jevani Brown, who we're getting to, Josh Key, Jack Sparks, Sam Nombe, there's probably even more that I'm forgetting about. Yeah, what have you made so far of the season, and also the manager, Gary Caldwell?
Okay, well, I suppose we'll start on the season. We started incredibly brightly. That 3-0 away win to Wickham on the opening day with a goal inside 30 seconds. I was there at Adams Park that day, and I think everybody in that away end just had this amazing feeling of hope. Like, a lot of people had predicted us to do quite badly at the start of the season. A lot of people had us in their prediction, right? They had us in the bottom 4, which I thought was harsh. I mean, you can look at the way things have turned out this season so far, but I thought it was harsh at the time, and I thought at the start of the season we were really proving the doubters wrong. Top of the league after a few games. We had a brilliant away wins against Burton and Carlisle, which put us top of the league. And you thought, wow, I mean, maybe we've never been in the Championship before, but we've never even made the League One playoffs. And we thought maybe there's an outside chance. Maybe wishful thinking in the early stages of the season, but yeah, the start of the season was unbelievable, and I think maybe we took it for granted slightly at the time. We ended up going on quite a poor run, which must have been about October, and kind of has continued to maybe now. Maybe we're in better form than we were just before the Wickham game that we won on Boxing Day, which has given us a bit of hope. We've had a couple of wins since then, that Wickham win and then the Carlisle win a couple of weeks ago. obviously that run of 13 games without a win really killed a lot of hope amongst the fan group. I think, but the win against Wycombe has revived some of that, and I think it's restored a lot of people's sort of hope in the club that we can stay up. And I think when you look at the teams around us, we'd like to think that we have the quality to be able to stay up. It's just scoring goals at the moment that we're just struggling to do.
Yeah, because I was going to bring that up. You've only scored 18 goals. 18 goals in 27 games. That's got to be, one of the lowest scorers, if not the lowest. And like you've talked about, if you look at the last 5 games, you've picked up only 1 more point less than us. We've obviously been on a bit of a little bad run at the moment, 3 league defeats in a row. Although, we have played some good sides, Wycombe, who we always struggle against, Barnsley away and Blackpool at home. We were 9 home games unbeaten until the defeat yesterday. But what do you think's been the main sort of downfall of the the poor form? I mean, in the summer as well, were a lot of Exeter fans, especially with the recruitment side of things, the players that you've brought in, and some of the players that you kept, were you, even with the good start, was there also a sort of reminder, think, is this squad good enough? I mean, and obviously, I think most fans would have probably said it'd be at least good enough to stay up, and not be in any, relegation battles. Yeah, what was been your thoughts on the sort of why you think it's been so poor for Exeter this season?
I mean, all right, we'll talk about the goal scoring then, because I think that's, you brought it up. I think it's what everybody's thinking at the moment. We're a side that are struggling to score goals. And there's a few answers to that question, but one main one, really. Last season, I don't think I'm exaggerating by saying that we had definitely one of the best front threes in the whole of League One last year. Sam Nombe, Jay Stansfield, and then Jevani Brown, who you obviously know about. That was that was goals here, there, and everywhere from those 3. We obviously lost Jay Stansfield, went back to Fulham, now on loan at Birmingham City, and he's proving why he's one of the best young strikers in the country, and I think he'll go on and smash it in the Premier League next year, hopefully with Fulham. He's absolutely fantastic. I think it's very easy to forget his contribution last season. Just because he didn't score loads of goals, honestly, he's so much more than that, and he's now he's at Birmingham, he's proving that he can go even beyond that and score goals as well. We also lost Jev. Obviously, that was a little bit earlier in the season due to different reasons. And Sam Nombe is the other. And we played the first 6-7 games of the season with him. We obviously sold him to Rotherham just a couple of days before the summer transfer window closed for a huge amount of money. And it was a risk, I suppose, that the club were willing to take. He only had a year left on his contract. I think it made it clear that he wanted to leave. He wanted to link up with Matt Taylor at Rotherham in the Championship, right? Yeah. Because he knows how good Matt Taylor is as a manager. He knew that the opportunity to play in the Championship was maybe too good to turn down. So he went over. We did that, and he's proving now that I think he's a good enough striker to play in the Championship week in, week out. The problem is that we don't have any of those 3 players anymore. What we do have are players that we've tried to replace those front 3 with, and it hasn't quite worked. Sonny Cox has been fantastic since he's been out on loan at Yeovil. He's come back and scored a couple of goals. Looks a completely different player, and he is the future, I think. Sonny is absolutely fantastic. But it's a lot of pressure to put on a 19-year-old to lead the line of a side battling relegation, if we're being totally frank. So at the moment, it's goals that we're struggling for. We brought in Admiral Musquet. He hasn't exactly hit the ground running. Yannick Vilcher, who I really like, but he hasn't chipped in with loads of goals. James Scott maybe hasn't scored as many goals as he would have liked this season. You know, these are players that can all spring into form at some point, but they haven't quite done it yet. And at the moment, I think, you know, Gary's made it clear that he certainly wants a striker, at least one, hopefully two. At the moment, we haven't brought one in. We'll have to wait and see if we can do it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Neil, what's been your thoughts, and have you got any questions for Tom? And also, let us know in the comments if you got any questions for Tom about about anything else. We'll get on to Matt Taylor and Jevani Brown in a minute, but if you've got a question, Neil, for Tom, or what's your thoughts on Exeter as well?
Yeah, I haven't got anything really that relates to Exeter and Rovers from what they've got as personnel or that have been at both clubs. But I never thought Exeter would be where they were, this season. I looked at it and I thought they'd be comfortable, sort of middle of the road.
Interesting.
Sort of thing. But the Tom Carroll one was what got me, because I thought that Tom Carroll going in there would run League One football matches when he got up to speed, and he must have played, I don't know, what's he played, like 20 odd games for you. I don't think his output must be next to nothing, because I never see any news of him. I don't know if he scored a goal for you. I don't know if he creates anything, but I just thought, when I looked at the sign, I thought, that's hell of a bit of recruitment. I expect him to go boss games at this level, and it doesn't look like he's done it.
I think when you sign Tom Carroll, you're not expecting goals and assists. I don't really think that that's his game. I think when we signed Tom Carroll, that was an attempt to replace Archie Collins, who, again, isn't a prolific goal scorer, doesn't necessarily provide loads of assists, but what he does do is he does the basics incredibly well, spraying short passes, putting the ball in the right areas for other players to create chances. You've got Jack Aitchison in our side who's good at doing that. Luke Harris, who we've just brought in, looks fantastic, a brilliant creator, right? Tom Carroll is maybe not the guy who's going to create. He's probably going to do the basics and give the opportunity to those creative players to do what they do best. That's the idea. And I actually think that he's done it quite well this season. He's got players around him that can do the creative stuff. Tom is really that sort of anchor man in the middle, who does basically what he needs to do.
Because it was I thought that as well when they signed him as well, because he's had a lot of injury issues, hasn't he? I remember when he come onto the scene at Tottenham when Gareth Bale was there and they had quite a young team, and he's just struggled, hasn't he? But I sort of agree. He's one of those players that you don't really notice, but he does the basic things really well. But I want to get your thoughts, because as you seen a comment a second ago about, do they want Brown back? A lot of fans have been wondering, because we've seen last season in the 4-3 win for you at our place, when Jevani Brown was playing, you had that team, and even in the League Two season, Jevani Brown scored at least one goal against us, and he looked brilliant. Like you said, he was part of that front three last season for you when you had Stansfield, Nombe, and Jevani. What sort of formation and sort of style, and
how do you get the best out of Jevani Brown, right?
Basically all that. There's just so many questions, because I think this season he's got one goal for us, which come maybe 4 months ago against Port Vale in the 3-0 win. But apart from that, he looked good in pre-season. He was amazing. He scored this worldie against Braga in the pre-season friendly in Portugal. He looked really good. Scored at Swansea and looked good on the opening day away at Portsmouth. But we haven't really seemed to see a lot. A lot of people are wondering, what position do you get the best out of him? Because we've played him in the 10, we've played him as a winger, we've played him as a striker with a big man, Chris Martin. How did you get the best of him at Exeter?
So he's a player that thrives on positivity. He needs I think he needs a bit of love, I guess, from the fans, a bit of support. He's one of those players who, when he's confident, is absolutely fantastic. It's very easy to forget that when he signed for Exeter, he didn't score for the first 20 games or so. It took him quite a long time from really to kick into gear. And obviously when we were promoted to League One, the first half of the season, of course, he was excellent. There's no denying that. The hat-trick away at Forest Green Rovers was amazing. He is a 10, I think. That's where we played him for a lot of last season in the trio with Nombe and Stansfield. Actually, for the promotion season in League Two, he was playing in front of Matt J and next to Sam Nombe. So, ironically, he scored less goals as a striker in League Two than as an attacking midfielder in League One. And actually, that was something that we saw quite a lot, that we've seen quite a lot in recent Exeter City sides. Matt J was, I believe, he must have been our top goal scorer when we were promoted from League Two.
Yeah, I think he was. He was class.
He was unbelievable. Yeah, and it's maybe a shame that he's not doing what I know he can do down at Colchester at the moment. But yeah, Jev is a player who thrives off of positivity. You really need to give him that love and confidence for him to be creative and do what he does best. Because when he is at his best, he is. Look, I mean, we saw it last season. One of the best players available in this division, and there's a reason why there was championship interest. In the January of 2023.
Yeah, because like you said, last season he was brilliant. Because when we signed him, I thought, wow, because it was him and Collins in just before January. I think they were both two top goal scorers and most goal contributions. And I was thinking, wow, we're gonna really do well, with signing Jevani and Collins. But both of them, even Collins to an extent, there's been a lot of talk about him leaving recently. The last two, and I know it might not seem that big to some people, but the last two games, usually it'll stay around clapping with the whole squad, but the last two games, Collins has gone straight down the tunnel pretty much. He's done a little clap yesterday for like 20, 30 seconds, then went straight down the tunnel. Barnsley away, straight down the tunnel pretty much. So there's been a lot of talk of him going. I'm not sure if it will happen or not, or if he's just, I don't know, a bit angry, but he's not seeming to score. He's got a lot of assists, but not really scored a lot. Collins has only got 3 goals and Jevani Brown's got 1. So if you look back to last season at this stage, I think combined, they had about 25, 30 contributions. And now this season, Collins has still got a lot of assists, 9, I think. But yeah, not really scoring. So hopefully we can see the best of him. I wanted to see him in the 10 yesterday with like Martin and Marquis, so it's going to be interesting that he didn't get hardly any minutes yesterday, and against Norwich I don't think he'd come on at all. So, and before we quickly get into like lineups and stuff, what did you make of Matt Taylor at Exeter as well?
Yeah, so I think it's not exaggerating to say that Matt Taylor is maybe the I suppose biggest club legend that we've had at Exeter City. There's a few that would contend. Obviously, Adam Stansfield is a club legend as well, and Dean Moxey and a few others. But Matt Taylor did it as a player. Captain of the club, took us to 2 promotions, and then joined as a first team coach. And made his way up to manager and got us promoted as manager, right? He is a brilliant tactician, but I think more than anything, he's an absolutely fantastic man manager. He's a man who you just watching his interviews and watching what he's like around the place, he's a man who you just really would want to play for. I think he's got that aura about him. Really honest man as well. I think whenever you watch a pre-match, post-match interview, especially the post-match interviews, you really feel like you've just watched the same game as he has, I find. Yeah. So, yeah, Matt Taylor, a fantastic manager. We were all gutted when we lost him to Rotherham. But I think he wanted to take that step up. Unfortunately, it didn't work out at Rotherham. He's ended up at Rovers, and I wish him the best because he's a great man, brilliant family man, and a really great person, great character. So I think that you've struck gold with Matt Taylor, and when I see people sort of criticising him over on X. I do think, right, okay, this is similar to what the Rotherham fans did, and that didn't work out well. I think you just got to back him. You've not had him for particularly long. The players that he's got aren't even his players. Like, he played with George Friend and he managed Jevani Brown, but these aren't his players. Yeah. Once you give him an opportunity to bring in the players that he wants to, I guarantee you that you'll be flying.
Yeah, definitely. And before we do get into lineups as well, I want to get your thoughts on what would you say your strengths and weaknesses. Obviously, we know weaknesses are not scoring goals, mainly, but I think it's a bit of a tricky going into the game. I think it's one of those tricky ones because we've the last 3 games. And especially the way we started, yesterday was not good at all. The first 25 half an hour was shocking. So it's one of those games where, Exeter could easily, come out the blocks quicker. And if we play like we started, like we did yesterday, we could be losing it. And it's, one of those games. So, I want to get your thoughts on your main strengths and weaknesses. What would you say those are?
We're really good at keeping clean sheets. That is one thing we are excellent at this season. 9 of them so far. Vilson Asalo, who's been unbelievable. Maybe our signing of the summer, I guess, because he's kept us in so many games. He's saved us so many points. He's going to go on to have an absolutely fantastic career. And everybody loves Vil. He's an excellent goalkeeper, great personality, and he keeps clean sheets. He's got a defence in front of him, which is helping him out there. Czech Diabate, since he came back into the side, particularly at the game against Stevenage, you kind of knew that he was going to cement his place in the side for the coming games. Will Ameson's dropped out of the squad recently. Alex Harridge was on the bench for Saturday. Czech Diabate's made that position his own. Zach Jules has been fantastic at the back as well. And Pierce Sweeney, I think most people are aware of him and his qualities. A bit of a stalwart and always does the basics very well. So defensively, we've been class this season. Actually creating chances hasn't been a really difficult thing for us to do either. It is putting the ball in the back of the net, which we're struggling to do. So maybe don't expect fireworks on Tuesday, but I would definitely expect a really strong defensive performance from us because that is what we've shown recently.
Yeah, that's interesting to hear because we've talked about. I think we've only kept three clean sheets this season, which is shocking. And yeah, because I remember I've heard a lot of good stuff back. Like, isn't he on loan from Villa, the keeper?
Yeah.
Villa. Yeah, I've heard a lot of. I've seen him save quite a few penalties as well. So that's interesting, though. That's what I mean. It's so mad. Like, you're just above, the relegation zone. But like you said, it's been scoring goals. Keeping that's 9 is very, very good, and that's pretty mad, really, considering where you are. Most fans, if you'd say, what would you guess Exeter's clean sheets? They wouldn't say that. So that's pretty interesting to hear as well. But yeah, I mean, Neil, before we get into lineups, what's your thoughts going into the game against Exeter? Matt Taylor against his old club. You could a derby-ish, if you would say. There's always been a lot of good games in the past against Exeter. To be honest, Exeter have always done a lot better than us in recent years. And we haven't. I think in the last 4 games, the League Two, both of our League Two promotion season and last year, we haven't even beaten you. I think you've got 2 wins and 2 draws, I think.
Yeah, I think the one that springs to mind was Matt Taylor's last game in charge against you lot at home. I think it was Aaron Collins who scored in the last minute to salvage a point for you lot. I think we have been really close games recently, and obviously we had the crazy game last year away at your place, where was it Belshaw, the goalkeeper?
Yeah, Belshaw twice he just went on a mad one. Yeah, he's not here.
Yeah.
He's not here anymore. But yeah,
No, I
that
didn't
was the
think so.
game that I was like, I think everyone was like, Jesus, what is going on? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy, to be honest. That game is still like in my head from. I think Marquis had a chance. You took the lead, and then we went in front. And Marquis had I don't know how he didn't score, but he's done the same thing this season. He had a chance to score to make it 3-1, and then like 10 minutes later, it was like 4-3, and I was like, what? Yeah, that was such a mad game, to be honest. And yeah, just before, have you heard any I've heard a few murmurings of Hartridge and Harrison Kite joining Rovers. I don't know how true that is. I haven't seen any proper like journalists come out, but I've just heard murmurings of those two players being linked to it. Obviously because of the Matt Taylor thing, I would think as well. Have you heard anything with that? Because I've seen a lot of Exeter fans, I think a week ago or so, I seen on Twitter a lot of Exeter fans like, saying that Kite is ill or injured, and then not in the squad and stuff like that, and also Hartridge, because I think you said you broke up a little bit, but I think you said Hartridge was on the bench on the weekend.
He was.
Yeah. So what have you heard any stuff about that, or do you think that's just because Matt Taylor's our manager?
I think naturally you're going to get those links when you've got a former manager who's now managing at the same level, and maybe wants to take a couple of players. I don't know. I'm not in the know at all. I may work for the club. I guarantee you, I do not know anything about this. So, look, I mean, those rumours are always going to come about. It was inevitable that Rovers were going to be linked with a couple of our players. If you believed everything, all of the Matt Taylor links last summer, then you would have had it believed that Archie Collins was going to Rotherham, that Jevani Brown was going to go to Rotherham, that pretty much everyone was going to Rotherham, and in the end, one single player made the move, and that was Nombe. And that was a good signing for them, but the reality was that he didn't take every player. And Matt might be interested in a couple of our players. I don't know. If he is, then that's just the way of the world. But I wouldn't necessarily read too much into those rumours. I don't think they've been reported properly anywhere anyway. No. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens if anything does come about. But yeah, quickly, Neil, what's your thoughts going into the game? Are you a bit worried that the downward spiral might keep going because of we don't know about Finley, we know Ward's out, it's another game in quick succession, but obviously hopefully we can get the win. But what's your thoughts going into the game on Tuesday night against Exeter?
No, I think it could be an extension of Saturday, to be honest. If you look, we're going straight into Tuesday. They're literally going to recover, do a team meeting, probably have a morning on the grass, then they're back into a game again. So he's not going to get a great deal of information into him, and they're basically just going to recover up until Tuesday. If you look at Exeter, and I know they are where they are, and they've accumulated the points they've got, but no one wallops them. Do you know what I mean? They get edged out of games. They just get edged out of games here and there, and we're a side that can't put no one to bed when we win a game. So I don't think this is going to be plain sailing at all. Tuesday, I think I can see 1-1.
Yeah. Well, what would you go with your starting 11 for Tuesday? And also, we'll come to you in a minute, Tom. What you think Exeter starting 11 and score prediction as well. But yeah, Neil, what would be your starting 11 for
I'd go
Tuesday night?
Cox in goal, Taylor, Kramer, and Beefy. I'd go probably Evans and Macca in the middle, which I don't like, but it's something that might have to be done. I'd go Jack Hunt one side, Flash the other, Azza and Sinclair off of Chris Martin.
As in Sinclair, yeah. Interesting to see if Sinclair's on the because he wasn't even on the bench. He was on the bench for Norwich. Come on, then wasn't even on the bench
Yeah.
against Blackpool. So yeah, that's interesting. Tom, what would be your starting 11 if you was to pick for the Tuesday night?
I think it will be similar to the side that we put out against Cambridge. Maybe a couple of changes. We'll see. But we'll go for that 3-4-1-2. I think we experimented with the back four and it worked quite well actually. But I think we'll probably stick with the three again. They're obviously Vucinic and goal. He's been fantastic this season, and I think naturally you'd stick with the the team that got the clean sheet against Cambridge. So that was Zach Jules, Czech Diabate, and Pierce Sweeney at the back. In midfield, I really like Tom Carroll and Luke Harris. Maybe a little bit ahead with Jack Aitchison in midfield. In the wide positions, you've got a bit of choice now. Ben Purrington, who signed in January, formerly of Plymouth, of course, that he's joined up with the squad and looks a great acquisition. So I think he'll start. Maybe on the other side, we started Imi Niskanen last time. I think that Dion Rankin will probably get the shout this time. And then up top, I think naturally Sonny Cox will start. And to give him a little bit of support, then I think it will probably be Yannick Vilchet who starts up top with him. So look, I mean, that's a decent team on paper, I think. We'll have to see how it goes. But no, I think we can nick a draw, if I'm totally honest. It will be tough. We know that Rovers are obviously a good side at this level. And I think, I had them even higher in my start of season predictions. But yeah, I think we can nick a draw. I think there will be... I'll go no.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. I mean, Tom Butler saying crazy. The way Sinclair's been treated, I'm not sure what's going on with Sinclair. Taylor said he's been ill, and there's been other few things. I'm not sure he's been treated. I'm not sure really what's going on until we see the bigger picture. But he did say he was ill. Yeah, I mean, for me, I would go. Yeah, the same keeper, obviously. Matt Cox in goal, Beefy, Taylor, and Kramer at centre back. And then on the right, I would have Jack Hunt. On the left, I would have Lewis Gordon. In the middle, it's tough. That's what I mean. Unless you put Maka back there with Grant, and then there's literally no one. Hopefully, Finley's back, but we don't know. I hope he is because we're so much better with him in the side. But at the moment, it's tough. I'll just go Josh Grant and Evans again. And then I'll go Jevani up top with Martin and then Maka in the 10. Maka in the 10. So that would be mine. And score predictions. Let us know in the comments what you would go for. Get all your score prediction in the comments. Alex Hamilton saying 9 clean sheets, and they've let in 2 more than us playing 1 more game. Funny old game. Yeah, I know, it's crazy. That's pretty mad. But Neil, what was your score prediction? 1-1.
Yeah, 1-1.
Who's your goal scorers for both teams?
Chris Martin for us.
Like he always is. Jesus
Christ.
If we didn't have Martin, I don't know where we'd be,
Yeah, and then maybe like Sweeney will shovel one home for them from some messy sort of set piece. It will drop kindly, something like that.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Martin, I think he's 10 goals in 18 games he's got for us, and I think if you go, I think it must be 6 or 7 goals he scored out of our last 8 games or something crazy like that. The reliance on him, me and Neil have talked about it loads in the last few weeks, especially. Like, we should not be relying on a 35-year-old to be scoring pretty much all our goals and no one else. Like, it's been crazy. But what was your score prediction, Tom? Because it sort of broke up. Did you say 1-1?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I went for 1-1 as well. I'm going to go for Yannick for us, Yannick Vilchet. Well, let's just go Jevani Brown with yours. It feels inevitable, doesn't it? We'll see, but
Hopefully.
it feels inevitable.
Yeah, 1-1. Yeah, so you've both gone 1-1. Pretty much a lot of people have gone for 1-1. Yeah, Steve Fuller's gone 1-1. Chris Martin, Chris Collier's gone 1-0 as well. Yes, it's tough. Tom Butler saying, living in Exeter, I've got to go for 1-0 Rovers, but I think it'd be a draw as well. Yeah, a lot of people are going draws. I think. Well, I don't know. I said because we were at home against Blackpool, we were going to win. And it was.
I think if you were in better form, then I think you'd back yourselves against us. Because we're not in great form, but nor are you. So I think that does make it. That changes the dynamic slightly, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's tough. Thomas Callahan's gone for 3-1 Rovers. Going positive because I'm stupid like that. Bailey Sutton going 2-1 Rovers. I think I'm going to go with a 2-0 Rovers. I don't know why I think we're going to keep a clean sheet.
I don't know either.
Yeah, we always let teams have an opportunity, no matter what stage, whether it's early, whether it's late on. You know, like I said, we've kept 3 clean sheets or maybe 4 clean sheets in the league the whole season. But yeah, I know at home under the lights, I'm going to say 2-0 Rovers. I'm going to go with Martin to score again because, like Neil said, he just always does. And also Jevani Brown, because why not? Like you said, Jevani Brown, let's put him in there. If he can get a goal against his old club, that'd be nice. So, yeah, that's mine. So, yeah, I've gone 2-0. Tom and Neil have both gone with 1-1 draws. A lot of people in the comments have said 1-1. A few people have gone with wins in the last few comments. But that's pretty much it. We're going to end it now. Thanks to everyone that's tuned in on the live. Thanks to Tom for his input and for coming on. Really do appreciate that. Make sure you go and give him a follow. Check out the Park Life pod. He does a really good job on there as well. For the Exeter City page as well. And yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed it. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't. If you're watching on the replay, then do hit the like, subscribe, leave your comments as well, leave your predictions. Follow the socials, which are scrolling down below right now at the bottom of the screen. Join FanHub if you haven't already. Use the golden ticket code at the bottom. And yeah, we'll see you for a match reaction video on Tuesday night. Hopefully it is a win, but we'll have to see. But yeah, thanks for watching and up the gas.